Hi everyone. It's the day after the 4th of July, or the July 5th. Uh, and what you're looking at right here is a Grex of watermelon seeds. So if you don't know what a Grex is, let me take a minute to talk about that. A Grex is a genetically diverse population of whatever variety, whatever thing you're growing. And so how I got this was by saving seeds from a bunch of different watermelons that I planted, all kind of jumbled up, similar to this. Last year, I did some watering to them because I did want to get as much participation in the genetic gene pool as possible from as many different varieties. Anyway, so then I saved seeds from that, and this is what those look like planted out, or at least a few of them. As you can see, there's lots of different versions, ones that are bigger, smaller. So we'll see what kind of takes off here. It'll be interesting. This, as a volunteer, this got in there somehow, but that is not a watermelon plant. That's my guess would be either a Moschata, C. Moschata, or a might be a Maxima. I don't know. Just judging by the sort of shape of the leaf, and that's something that I've kind of trained myself to do over the years. I think other people would probably be better at it than me, but it's one of those things that you can kind of develop an eye for. So, those seem to be doing fine. There's some sort of walnut tree. I'll probably have to just pull that out, or maybe just cut it off. Hate to leave the roots in, but I've got stuff going on right now. That's one I see quite a bit of. There used to be a walnut tree in the backyard here. Let's hang out a little more. This is a volunteer. Looks like a Peppo, probably some kind of zucchini would be my guess. We'll see. There's some arugula that's gone to seed. I'm just gonna do nothing with it. Here's some more Moschata volunteers. There's another one there. Comfrey, looking good. As always, this is going to be second crop of the year. I might try and do 3 crops this year, because you can see it's starting to flower already, and that'll get quite a bit taller, or at least it did the first time around. Got about up to here. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. It starts to sort of bend down when the seed pods go to the ground. Of course, this is the Bocking 14, 13. This is sterile comfrey that I've had and given to friends. Everyone around here that's into organic gardening got one of these. So it's a clone of a clone of a clone. This is some Moschata right there. I believe these are Japanese varieties. Chirimen, I think, is one of them. They kind of look like Maximas. These are those Moschatas that look like Maximas. And sometimes I think they even mistakenly label them as Maximas, but they're not. I won't say who, but I think that there's some mistaken labeling out there. But anyway, these are, those sort of kabocha shaped pumpkins, but they are actually Moschata, as you can see from the leaf shape. At least that's my guess. Okay, so this is all Korean melon. Growing out of Grex, just of this. We'll see what happens. That was one that I had a couple really successful fruits off of, and it was like, man, this tastes really good. So that's looking all right, and we'll see what fights it out. That one's not as far along as the watermelons, as you see there. that's all good. A couple soybean plants that have popped up. I was trying to, direct seed soybean by just throwing it on the ground. I don't know if I didn't have a very sort of clear base to throw them out to or what happened, but I did not get very good luck with soybeans. You can see there are some, but I mean, I was throwing out quite a bit of seed. So this is my second attempt at soybeans. This is hand planted into the ground. I took like a screwdriver, I think, to make a little hole, and then was just popping them in the holes. As you can see, the germination has been a little erratic in terms of timing, but also just some have just simply not come up. There's some really small ones. I of course planted a bunch of vegetable seed with all this exposed bare ground. It just seemed like the thing to do. So who knows, it might become overgrown. But kale and turnips seems to be mostly what's here. So anyway, these are the soybeans. Some of these, I do wonder. I'm looking this time around to see if any of these seem like they got any of the wild soybean genetics, which is something I'm looking for. So these are not very far along at all, as opposed to these over here, which are already start to have some beans on them. And I hope I get some wild soybean that's gonna pop up here too. Although I don't know if I see any. They look exactly like a soybean, but just like it's like a miniature version. Some stuff kind of coming up freshly here. Here's something maybe just brand new. Anyway, really fascinating to get down on your hands and knees and just check out what's going on. I highly recommend it. I put down some grass, some sort of lawn clippings and stuff like that. And you may be gasping, what about the seeds? What about all the seeds? That's fine. There will always be weeds. And that's okay. I think that's my philosophy going forward. So, as far as using something as a mulch, or avoiding using something as a mulch because there's a bunch of seeds in it. I don't know. That may be a dogma whose time has come for a little re-examination. This is Agraxis soybeans. I've been doing this for as long as I've known to grow Agraxis. They don't cross very freely, from what I understand. So it may just be a bunch of varieties that I'm growing at this point, but even that, I think, will sort itself out and lead me to, a better, whatever the best version of whatever it is I'm growing. Just a close up. I'm going to give them some JLF, that's liquid fertilizer, homemade, because, they seem to be just really off to the races. Plants this size, I think you can start kind of pumping them up with fertilizer. I don't know. Again, that it's how much fertilizer are you allowed, or are you supposed to give plants before burning? I don't know. But I feel like the fertilizer also, it sort of has dual purpose in that it's more at this point about inviting the worms in to kind of open up the soil, rather than it being about feeding the plants. So this is maybe some spinach, or maybe it's a beet, not sure, but it's in that family, you can see. And I think part of what is fun about this is just kind of training your eye eye to recognize different parts of what plants look like at different parts in their life cycle. It's just good shit. It's fun to look at. I think it's good for your brain. Carrot flower. We'll see what becomes of this. Okay, so here's some Tetsukabuto. I'm pretty sure this stuff with the kind of white thing on the leaves is that. And that's looking good. And then I planted in some sort of Moshada, I think is what that is. I forget which is which. And then that's a Maxima, which is just kind of barely holding on. Maximas don't kick ass in my garden yet. Again, and these are some as well. That's some save seed that I planted in the mounds, soaked them overnight, and then planted, which seems to be a good strategy. Maybe just give this guy a little more exposure. Yeah, and here are 3 that are not growing as well, probably not getting as much light as these. Drew some artichoke, never any problems with that. Never any problems. This is the Hugel mound. Kale. Let's take a look at these leaves. Some holes, but that's going to be how it is. So yeah, it's interesting to see, where kale is doing well and where it's really suffering. As I've shown before, the kale in like full sun over here is just, getting eaten up. And it looks gnarly. Daikon too, you see. Right? Yeah, here we go. Just look at that. It's in bad shape. So this is the same Napus kale. So interesting to note that it looks pretty good in the more shaded areas, and that makes sense. It's kind of in line with what I've always heard about kale. Here's some is it a beet or is it just chard? I think this might just be chard. They're in the same family. They kind of look alike. That over there as well. So who knows? That's one I'm a little less sure about. It's kind of tricky to get growing. With that one, it doesn't seem to do very well just being thrown on the ground. Surprise, surprise. But you do see that it does come up sometimes. 1, 2, 3 plants. Maybe there's some somewhere else. But so that one might benefit from seed balls or something a little more careful for the time being. This is that melon Grex. Looks really cool. Let me just put the camera on this for a second. You grow a bunch of different kinds of melons. Save melons from grocery store melons. Get as many melon seeds as you can. Put in some Korean melon, some Indian melon, stuff that may not even cross. Actually, not sure. I think it does though. Lots of different colors. Generally looking pretty green. I'm gonna give this some fertilizer as well. Doing it in a big patch like this is nice, I think, because you do get just a sort of critical mass of root energy. Roots all doing the same thing. Roots all excreting the same exudates right from their roots into the soil at the same time. That there may be something to overseeding or overcrowding like this. One advantage is certainly that there's just a lot of shade early on, and that it kind of gets rid of, it keeps most of the weeds out. So that's cool. There's a sesame seedling. Something else I was like, is that a miniature moschata growing there as well? Let's see. Okra, I think, it's finally okay canopy-wise. That's gonna make it. I'm gonna let a bunch of these moschatas over here grow into this area. All these are about to really start to take off. And I'm kind of just growing these all together because I want there to just be a real party genetically. As you can see, this is the variety. This is the moschata variety. Tahitian melon, I think that I was talking about previously in one of these videos. Some tomatoes, that'll be cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what actually comes up with tomatoes. Hopefully it's not all just little cherry tomatoes, although those tend to be the most prolific. There's some Maximas, looking pretty good. These are ones that I just planted on the bare ground. So this is a no-till. Take soaked seeds, cover them with a little bit of dirt and water. Put some vegetable seeds in. You know, these are probably just gonna fade away, right? Something, you know, stuff does and doesn't happen, and that's cool. Oh, there's another guy. Doing the same thing. I think these are actually moschatas here. Those two. You know, there's just seed all over the place. Lots of happy accidents. That's an example. That's a pretty good looking pale leaf. For being sort of an attractive nuisance. That's the thing, is that there's just so much I don't seem to harvest. So it's just kind of biomass on a certain level. Ladybugs, you can see they are taking care of business. Nature's cleanup crew. Some corn. Maybe a little sorghum. I try not to keep sorghum this far forward just because it's not super high on my priority list of a crop I'm trying to grow right now. Corn I'm more interested in. This could be a little greener maybe. I'll probably apply some fertilizer. And but it's certainly, you know, established and nice and tall. I don't want to coddle it too much, but at the same time, you know, corn's fun. Let's go down heavily seeded lane here. It's a little path, and you can see that there's all sorts of cucurbits inside here, as well as corn. A little bit more corn germinated than I wanted it to, so we'll see how it all does. It's good shit, but I'll tell you what, corn seems to be easy to do a Grex with, and you can really do some interesting things. Happy to get teosinte into the mix as well. I think I read somewhere that they re-domesticated teosinte as a sort of practice, as a sort of proof of concept, and there's some pretty crazy selection going on. As someone put it in the comments, I think maybe it's like the Mesoamericans, the Native Americans. I'm not sure if it was Mesoamerica or where it was, but the domesticators of corn really knew how to spot a mutation. That's what someone said. I think that's seems to be true. Anyway, maybe I'll try it myself. Maybe I'll try and re-domesticate teosinte. I forget how many years it took him, but I mean that's the kind of thing you want to think about. Wild plants versus domesticated plants. What is the difference? There's another beet or chard. I scythed down a bunch of kale. It makes a nice thick mat, but you can't really plant on top of it for a while. So unless you're looking to rake, that kind of just sits where it is. But you can roll the dice, throw some seed down. It'll fill in the cracks. What do we got here? Turnip, right? This is what scythed down kale looks like. There's some corn. We got some gobo, edible burdock. Stuff growing in the nooks. More corn. Gonna do some rootstock grafting. So I've got a bunch of machada here. They grow really fast. This is where I laid my gobo seed heads. I took, I chopped down the gobo plants and placed them here. And I think for eternity there will now be permanent gobo in that area. This is a mound of dirt. This is where I get my dirt. This dirt came here from this hole over here. Got some logs. And those are covering actually kitchen compost. So stuff that leftover food scraps and stuff, and then I just put it in this hole and then I put logs over it, and it goes, and the nutrients are distributed throughout the soil, I think. This is some weed, really ubiquitous around here in Kentucky. But what I want to show you is that I made a liquid fertilizer of it. Yeah, it's really soft and it grows really quickly. There's one, there's a bunch. And this is not sunny area at all. So it's really hanging in there. But what I wanted to show you, here is JLF of pokeweed, maybe? I think people eat it. I think you can eat it. It did kind of smell good, although I think that it's like, it might be poisonous, one of these things, it's like, it's either a superfood or it might be poisonous. We're not sure. It's like comfrey. Is it super healthy? Are you supposed to eat it? Or is it, might it kill you? I don't eat it personally. Anyway, I haven't eaten this either, but that is cooking under some water there. And that will probably make for a good fertilizer. the chances of it being a bad fertilizer just doesn't seem possible to my intuition. There's some more corn. There might be some sorghum mixed in back here. I think I tried to do sorghum. Sort of my least of the priorities. And it grows like crazy. You know, it's got a small seed, so you can definitely get away with just throwing that on the ground. That's a direct seed with no till. Barely even need to mow or anything, I would say. Sunflowers. Bunch of different moshatta. Okay. So you can get a sort of sense of what the moshatta leaf shape looks like, I think, from this pack of plants here. Big version. There. Okra, yeah, okra's coming up. That'll be cool. I think I had maybe 2 plants last year. Delicata and Candy Stick. Carol Deku Peppo in there. Here's this. This is moshatta, I think. These are all volunteers here, so hopefully it's something cool. Tomatoes are sort of popping up where potatoes once were, which is good. I hope that I hope that these are good varieties. If not, I might just chop some down and try for something else. But this is an area where, yeah, as you can see, potato is starting to fade out, and you can see. I might do this together. These are sort of those smaller potatoes, La Rote, I think they're called. There's some fancy name for them, but potatoes are pretty much done, so I think I will try and surface harvest as many as I can of those. That plant's not looking very dark in the leaf, although that one is. Slightly different varieties here. Yeah, potatoes on the way out. And that is okay. Okra. A plant died. I don't know what it was. It was once vigorous. Coming out, emerged from this pile of asparagus. Burned out asparagus. Corn there. In the patch. Rained, yeah, since it rained heavily last night, the ground feels soft. It feels good to just let your feet sink in. Oh, but what I wanted to say was that, yeah, plants will die, and that's okay. I think we should be a little bit more accepting of death as a part of life, you know, and that some things simply are not going to work out, and that's okay. Here I scythed down some area. There's just, some vegetables growing in here. There's a tomato there that's come in, so that'll be fine. I'll use it. We'll take it. There's some, various Japanese style pumpkins growing here, whether they may or may not be actual Maximus is debate. There's this famous cucumber plant that I was telling you about. There's a little guy right there. Maybe some more. But yeah, cucumbers are kind of coming easy right now. I always sort of expect for cucumbers to die at a certain point. Speaking of death. And so that, I always plant accordingly, try and do sort of a few bursts of cucumbers, but good place for some some more mulch maybe. This one's doing fine. I just, yeah, don't want to cut into those cucumbers there. So that's cool. Hello, Mr. Tomato. Welcome to the garden. Yeah, this is just a regular old zucchini in shape. I'll take it. There's a very large turnip. It grew on its side. So I just scythed down where I was growing potatoes and onions. Onions and little potatoes. So I'm going to take everything's visible at the surface area and see how it goes. So got about this many potatoes from a hole about that big, maybe one plant, who knows. Also just check out the soil. This is 3 years, I think, of no tilling. It's good. That's soil that's fun to look at.